It's dark. Like, really dark. I guess that doesn't give a good description of how dark it is. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being like inside a black hole and 1 being... I'm not really sure what 1 would be. Out in the sun? On the surface of the sun? Holy crap, that would be way not dark. Look, it's dark at like a 17.
Open your eyes.
Oh, I guess that would do it. I opened my eyes. Nope, it's still dark. Not as dark. We're like an 8. I'm still not sure how the scale works. Anyways, there's a big white screen in front of me, like a movie theater screen. In fact, I look around and, yep, I'm in a movie theater. I recognize it as the Roxy my family always used to go to back when we did stuff together. Back before they died. The screen is lit up from a projector running somewhere. The movie playing on the big screen is weird. It's just a first-person view of a patterned floor like the camera's staring down at it from inches away and is being dragged across. So, those are the tiles from the Donovans, now the Clarks' kitchen. I've never seen this movie before, I say. You're living it, asshead, says the person beside me. Only one person calls me asshead. I turn and look at my brother Roger. He's sitting in the seat next to me with a big round tub of buttery popcorn. He always liked lots of butter on his popcorn, but I can't stand it personally. It makes my insides feel all buttery and greasy, and then I think about all the butter and grease dripping in my insides, and it makes my stomach want to leap out of my mouth. Roger, what are you doing here? I ask. Because Roger is dead. He got mashed like potatoes in the backseat of our car over 2 years ago. And then he got buried in a nice suit and rotted, but his ghost somehow made an agreement with the Queen of Witches, and he was brought into the Vale where the last time I saw him, he was driving off in a car. It's a long story. He looks at me and shovels more popcorn in his mouth. His eyes are black. Or maybe he doesn't have them anymore. It's hard to tell in this dark theater. He's wearing a sleeveless t-shirt that has a metal skull flying across it on fire and screaming and some heavy metal band name written in a fancy way so I can't read it. He always liked musical groups named after diseases and stuff. What am I doing here? He spits little bits of popcorn all over the seat trying to talk with his mouth full. I was watching Under Siege and then you just blipped into existence in the seat next to me and the movie changed to this avant-garde bullshit. He flaps his hands at the movie of my life. On the screen, I see Mrs. Clark's shoes. The camera's tilted sideways. Or rather, I guess my head is. There's some wet stuff on the tiles nearby. What the hell happened here? We hear David Clark's voice. He sounds like he's being played on a cheap set of speakers. My dad would have a fit listening to anything through cheap speakers. He always insisted on buying the best sound system for our TV and VCR. When we watched that movie about the little alien who could make bicycles fly, you really felt like you were on a flying bicycle.
Do you see now why I screamed?
Mrs. Clark asks.
There's blood all over the floor. She couldn't have bled this much from scraping her hands and knees. This is something else.
She said it was a mushroom. David appears on the screen, sideways like the rest of the film. He's off in the distance, standing by a counter, looking at the floor, which from this angle looks like a wall. I don't see a mushroom, but the tile here is pushed up. Roger tilts his head to try to see the movie right side up. You're a terrible filmmaker, Lil. How am I even here? This isn't the Vale, is it? You're in the Vale. Or you were last time I saw you. Yeah, this is the Vale. Roger tosses the popcorn bucket over the back of his seat like a slob. I look back to see if there's anybody else in the theater, but it's empty. Thank goodness. I don't need anybody else seeing this movie. You don't look like you're all here, though. I look down at my hands. He's right. They're kind of see-through. I'm like a ghost. Like Patrick Swayze or Casper or Marty McFly when he was trying to play that song Earth Angel at the end of the movie. I'm spectral. That's the word for it. It means like specter-like. Look, take her to the basement while I get a mop. snaps Mrs. Clark. David walks back off screen.
Well, I'm gonna break her neck or something dragging her down all these stairs,
he says. He sounds frustrated. His weird, cool demeanor is shattered. I mean, even if his mom hadn't clocked me with something hard from behind and now they were dragging my body around their house, I wouldn't give him the time of day anymore. Somebody else speaks. The same person I heard upstairs before the whole clocking incident. The voice sounds kind of grisly. Not like a bear. Bears don't speak English. They speak bearish. No, the voice isn't the least bit bear-like. It sounds more like one of those police chiefs on TV who smokes a lot of cigarettes and then shouts at everybody.
Set me down and pick her up with both arms.
I see David kneel down and carefully set something on the floor behind him. I wish I could see what it is, but I'm not moving my head at all. I mean, I'm moving my head in the veil. But the me that's filming this all is laying there unconscious and not moving her head. Dang it, me, move your head! Me moves her head. I move my head. That's me, laying there. Did I make me move my head? Maybe I can make me say something too. Let me go! I shout at the screen. Me on the screen mumbles. David turns to look at the camera, which I guess are technically my eyes.
Did she just say something?
The thing he set down on the floor moves, shuffles with tiny steps. It hobbles towards me, getting larger on the screen. It's a big, brown, soft-looking stuffed bunny rabbit. It's got buttons for eyes and a stitched mouth. In many places, the brown fur material is rubbed off, showing the fabric underneath.
Well, that's something you don't see every day,
Roger says before pulling a soda from the cup holder beside him and slurping on it through a straw. Welcome to my world, I mutter. The brown rabbit stuffy walks right up to me that's laying on the kitchen floor with David and his mom. It fills the movie screen here in the veil. It reaches towards the camera and does something. I can feel it. It's tugging on my eyelid.
She's half here,
the stuffed rabbit says.
There's some sort of thread connecting her to another plane. She's watching us.
It turns toward David and his mom.
Do what your mother said and put her in the basement for now. But remember not to go in the back room.
Mrs. Clark is watching the stuffed rabbit with the same expression I would expect any adult to make when seeing a stuffed bunny rabbit walk across their kitchen floor and start poking an unconscious girl's face. She wanders out of frame for a minute, and I hear all sorts of clattering and banging. After a moment, she comes back with a mop and a bucket and starts slapping the mop around in the mushroom's blood puddle while David and the stuffed rabbit look on. I never thought I'd have to say something like that.
Get moving,
comes the scraggly voice from the rabbit's stitched mouth. Then it seems to pick up the camera, which I guess is my head, and it bangs it against the wall, which I guess is actually the floor. The screen goes black, and I get a throbbing pain in the side of my head. Ugh, I rub at it. Roger points at the screen and laughs. You just got beat up by a stuffed rabbit. The movie starts up again. Only this time it's some guy in a chef outfit fighting people with knives. At first I panic, thinking some crazed cook was hiding in the basement and is now fending off the police from rescuing me or something. But I realize quickly that it's just a movie. An actual movie. Roger claps, then pumps his fist. There we go! Someday, Lil, I'm gonna be like Steven Seagal. Is he dead too? I ask. He looks at me and scowls.
Why are you still here? Go wake up or something.
I look around the empty theater. There's an exit sign up the aisle. I try to get up and walk to it, but my legs aren't working. I try to claw my way out of the seat to drag myself up to the doors, but my arms aren't working either. I'm this weird, bodiless nothing stuck in a theater seat next to my dead brother who's cheering on a violent movie and somehow got another bucket of popcorn in his lap. How do I get out of here? I ask him frantically. How do I wake up? He looks me up and down.
Do I look like I know what I'm doing?
Well, no. He scrunches up his mouth.
Here, let me try something.
And then he slaps me across the face and I jolt upright in a damp, dark basement. There's cobwebs and spiders and an old pair of laundry machines that look like they were bought after the war. I just don't know which war. There's been like a gazillion wars. Maybe the civil one? That was a crazy dream, I say to the spiders. They shrug. Well, not really, but I wonder which legs a spider would shrug if it did. I'm lying in a puddle in the middle of the basement floor. I hope the puddle was here when I got here. There's some old wooden stairs in front of me that go up to the door that's shut. I can hear David and his mom arguing from upstairs. They're not being the least bit quiet about it. Behind me, on the other side of the room, is a door that is half off its hinges. Well, someone put a padlock on it anyway. The door looks like you could just pull and the hinges would come off entirely and it would open the opposite way that a door should. Something thumps in the laundry dryer. I don't want to know what it is. I just want to get out of here. My clothes are wet and smell funny, and I think the Clarks are going to kill me. Though why they didn't already is up in the air. I pick myself up and creep over to the stairs. Please don't be squeaky like in a horror movie. I step on the first stair and it doesn't squeak. Thank you, stair number 1. I step on the second stair and it squeaks loudly. You suck, stair number 2. Fortunately, the Clarks are being so loud upstairs in the kitchen that I guess they didn't hear me because they just keep on shouting. I shrug like a spider and walk the rest of the way up to the basement door. The knob won't turn. Dang it. Someone breaks a dish. I hear it shatter and Mrs. Clark screams. I told you I'm not killing an 11-year-old girl! Well, what are we going to do? David shouts. We can't let her go! You've already attacked her twice! And we've pretty much kidnapped her at this point. This is all wrong, Davy. Stop calling me Davy! It's David! David! Wow, he gets really angry about his name. David. Mrs. Clark seems to calm down somewhat. This cannot be what the angels want you to do. This is murder. Wait, what? The angels? They told him to kill me? Oh no, is it Samuel again? Is he in that stuffed bunny? Is that what's going on? I look at a fat little spider that's watching me from its web in the banister. Why am I asking you? It shrugs. Maybe that blow to the back of my head messed with my brain a bit. So is what you did to Mr. and Mrs. Donovan, David says. Remember them? They're still alive, Mrs. Clark says crossly. I can almost hear the smirk on David's face. Are they? Knock it off, David, comes the grisly voice. The Mad Witch girl can hear you both. She's listening through the cellar door. Oh, crap. I nearly fall down the stairs trying to turn around and get back to the basement floor. That door on the other side of the room suddenly seems like a good place to go. Definitely not back into the madhouse that is the 2 Clarks. Furfur says she's awake, I hear David remark. We need to deal with her. Then you do it, says his mom in a tone that my mom always used when I said I wanted another pudding pop without saying please. I'm at the bottom of the stairs. The thing in the dryer thumps again. It doesn't sound like it has a lot of strength. More like if someone balled up a sock and stuffed it into another sock and then used that sock to bang on the inside of a laundry machine. At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if it was a sock puppet trying to get out. Then again, it could be a sock puppet with a hand in it. I'm not going to waste time finding out. That's how I always end up getting more hurt. I scramble for the far door and pull on it. The lock doesn't budge, but the lower half of the side with the hinges pulls loose, just enough for someone small to squeeze through. So someone small does squeeze through. It's me. I squeeze through. It's dark on the other side. I can't see my hand in front of my face. I touch my nose and startle myself, and then I touch the wall. It's soft like the cushions on one of those sofas you can just sink into. In fact, my hand does just that. Something pushes back. I pull away. My knees sink into the carpeting a little too much. It moves like a waterbed. My Aunt Harriet and Uncle George had a waterbed. They got rid of it after their daughter Susie got run over by a boat. Uncle George had been driving it, and I think the rocking of the mattress reminded him of running Susie over. I can hear the thumping of feet behind me through the crack of space where the door came off its hinges. David Clark is going to be down here any minute. I can't squat here in the dark thinking about my cousin Tsuji, or I might just end up like her. I crawl forward. Squish, squish, squish. It makes me think of the song Worms on a Sidewalk we had to sing in kindergarten. Worms on a sidewalk, I sang to myself, and then moved forward. Squish, squish, squished. I can't help but giggle slightly. And then I remember I'm going to die probably, so I should focus for once. Okay. There's a red glow up ahead. I can see it down this hall I appear to be in. It's making the walls look red. As I get closer, I realize the light is actually white and the walls are actually red. And pulsing. And there's more mushrooms sticking up out of it all. If I had been standing up and using the wall for support, I'd be brushing up against all these gross-looking mushrooms. But I'm on the floor, which appears to be fungus-free, though just as wet-looking and pulsing as the walls. What is this?
She's gone into the back room!
I hear David Clark shout. His voice echoes down the mushy hallway.
No, I haven't!
I yell.
Who's there?
Whispers a tired old voice from the room ahead of me. I scream! Not because I'm scared, but because I'm startled. I mean, I'm totally terrified right now, but mostly of being murdered by a boy and his rabbit than some spooky voice in the dark. Unless the spooky voice speaker person also has plans to murder me. But since I know the boy and rabbit toy behind me definitely have talked about it, and I don't know anything about the speaker of the voice ahead of me, that person feels safer at the moment. I crawl quickly into the room. All the walls are red and goopy looking like the hallway had been. The light is coming from an old TV set that's been plugged in and set on a cardboard box with the name of the TV's brand on it. Zenith. There's nothing on the screen but static. I make a soft fsh sound. In the middle of the room is a plain wooden chair. Sitting in the chair is a raggedy-looking old man. He's staring at the TV like a zombie. His eyes are like Roger's were in my dream that was not a dream. So sunken into his skull that I can't even see them. I recognize him even without his eyes, though. It's the face I saw in the kitchen when I ripped the mushroom out from under the tile. It's Mr. Donovan. Mr. Donovan doesn't look at me.
Who is that?
He asks softly. He sounds super tired. Although being tired isn't really a superpower. If it was, it'd be like one of the worst superpowers, I think. Right up there with being super smelly and super lame.
Is that my Tina?
That must be the name of the Donovan's daughter. She's like my mom and dad's age. I always just call her Miss Donovan. She teaches music or choir or something at the high school. I never knew what her first name was. No, Mr. D, it's me, Lily, from down the street.
Oh.
That's all he says. Just, oh. Like someone thinking they won the lottery only to be told they won another scratch-off ticket instead. Down the mush hallway, I hear the door banging. David Clark must be trying to squeeze through like I did. But he's bigger than me and will probably have to go get the key for the padlock instead, wherever that is. I hope he doesn't have it on him. What am I saying? If he had it on him, he'd just be using it.
Where's my Lucille?
Mr. Donovan moans. He sounds like he's in a lot of pain. He slumps forward slightly in his chair, still staring at the boob tube as my dad always called it.
Where's Mrs. Donovan, Lily from down the street?
I look around the room. It's hard to see in some of the corners and behind the chair because of all the shadows there. I shuffle past Mr. Donovan to search for another way out or something to fend off David Clark with and trip over something big lying on the floor. It's squishy. I run my hands over it and... oh no. It's Mrs. Donovan, I think. It's hard to make out what or who it actually is because I think they're sort of liquefied at this point. There's most of a body. I can feel a face and a neck. I'm not going to go wandering my hands lower, but pretty sure there's more of her. But then I can also see that the body just sort of stops somewhere around halfway through what a body should have to it. and the rest is mush. I can make out more glistening mushrooms, red like the ones in the hallway, like the one in the kitchen that came up through the tiles. I grab one and squeeze it out of sheer curiosity. I don't even know what I'm thinking, I just do it. The mushroom bursts in my hand, covering it with more of the red juice. No, more of the blood. And then my vision blurs and I'm seeing myself crouched in the dark behind Mr. Donovan in the dark. I'm moving away, like I'm shooting down some rapids on an inner tube. I see the hallway, only everything seems to glow red. I'm spinning. I'm moving beneath the floorboards like a rat and then wrapping around the wood and burrowing through nail holes. I can see all the corners of the house. I'm peeking out from under a bathroom sink. I'm looking down from the inside of an air vent. I'm everywhere at once. And just as quickly, the vision screams back down into the basement, up through the floor, into my arm, and I'm back in my own head. Why did I just do that? I am so stupid sometimes. But now I understand. Mrs. Donovan has become some sort of... I don't even know what to call it. She's like an infection that's spreading through the house. Her body, for whatever reason, is fusing with wood and insulation. She's seeing the electrical outlets and the plumbing. How this happened to her, I have no idea, but the worst part of it is that I know for a fact she's alive despite what's happened to the lower half of her body. I absolutely have to get out of this nut house. Mr. Donovan groans again.
Where's my Lucille?
I swallow hard. She's upstairs. I mean, that's kind of true. She's everywhere, really. Ugh. I look at my hands with Lucille juice all over them and wipe them on my shirt. I am so going to need a bath after this.
Can you go get her, please? Please.
He whimpers. Poor Mr. Donovan. I don't understand what they've done to you or your wife, but I will fix this, or my name's not Lily Madwhip! David Clark's voice is like thunder coming from down the mush hall. Flashlight's beam cuts into the room, really giving me a better view of the gross walls. The red mush is like a city map of veins. Okay, don't look down at Mrs. Donovan, Lily. Don't look at her. I look at her. Jeez. I scramble over to the cardboard box and unplug the TV from the goopy-looking outlet in the wall. I'm gonna borrow this, okay? I tell Mr. Donovan. He says nothing. I can't see if he reacts in any way because the room just got darker with the set off. I grab the TV with both hands. It's heavier in the back, and I almost drop it immediately. But I get my knee under the thing and manage to heft it up to my chest. Then I waddle with it over to the doorway to the hall and press it up against the wall. The beam of David Clark's flashlight is getting smaller, which means he must be getting closer. I can hear his shoes squelching in the mush, but mine are also squelching, so it's kind of confusing. I once saw a news report about a man who was able to lift a helicopter after it crashed. There were people trapped in the wreckage, and despite the thing weighing like 5,000 pounds, he dug his fingers in and managed to lift it enough for other people to pull them out. It's called hilarious strength or something, where people are so pumped from excitement or terror that they can just lift things they couldn't otherwise. This TV set must be like 30 pounds or something because I'm wobbling just holding it to my chest. But then I hear David's foot squelch right around the corner in the hallway and I feel so much rage and terror build up in my brain that I heft with all my might and get the TV up over my head. David steps into the room and swivels the flashlight at Mr. Donovan.
Where are you, you little...
And then I slam the boob tube down on his head. I thought it would just knock him out and then he'd crumble and I could grab the flashlight and make a run for it. But what actually happens is I hit him with the part where the picture shows up, and instead of him just getting bonked, the screen pops and his head goes inside, and then he crumples and pitches forward, dropping the flashlight. He hits the floor with his head still inside the TV, and some of the jagged glass bits must cut him up in the neck or something because he flails and spasms, and I can see some dark stuff starting to stain his shirt. I gasp. I am so sorry. I was not trying to kill you. David gurgles in response. I grab the flashlight and book it up the mush hallway. Don't look at the walls, Lily. Just look straight ahead. I look at the walls. Oh, that's all Mrs. Donovan. Yep. Up ahead, the door laying crooked off of its hinges. I guess David just banged on it until he broke free enough for him to fit through. Thankfully, David's mom isn't in the basement. She must still be upstairs trying to clean Lucille juice off the kitchen floor. Unthankfully, is that even a word? That blasted stuffed rabbit is in the basement. I don't notice it though until I step on it and the thing latches onto my ankle. It's got incredible strength for a stuffed animal. What the hell are you? I yell at it.
Where's David?
It shouts in its weird, raspy, adult-sounding voice.
What have you done with my boy?
I turn toward the doorway to the back room and swing my leg back. Go find him! And then I kick out as hard as I can, and the dumb bunny flies through the doorway into the mush hall, shouting, Davy, the entire way. If they weren't trying to kill me, I might laugh. Note to self, laugh later. Haha, dumb bunny. All right, I only have a little time to think about things. David Clark is probably dead. His weird, talking stuffed rabbit is going to be pissed when it sees his body. There's no way they're going to let me out of this house alive after that, as well as seeing what's happened to the Donovans. And Mrs. Clark is upstairs with a mop, which could easily be used to beat me to death. And then there's this thing in the dryer, which is still pounding on the door from the inside. What? I yell in exasperation, which is a really big word I'm proud of myself for knowing, but that's because my mom always used it. What more could this crazy place have for me? I pull on the dryer door. It seems to be wedged shut or locked or something. After lifting an entire television over my head, maybe my arms are weak as Jell-O or something. Jell-O. I quickly look around for anything to pry open the dryer with, and then I notice there's a button on the top next to all the dials for setting temperature and stuff. It says unlock. I guess that would do it. I pop the unlock button and pull the door open. Sure enough, a blue sock comes tumbling out. I knew it would be a sock. The sock rolls over and looks up at me. Wait, that's not a sock. Meredith! I yell excitedly. They put you in the dryer! I know! The little blue stuffed cat chirps in Meredith's voice. It was some lady! You took a tumble and I was lying in the grass and then I got scooped up by her and I thought she was gonna help you up, but she just ran off with me. And next thing I knew, we were in this laundry room and she tossed me in this dark box. She looks back at what she fell out of. Oh, it's a dryer!
So it does talk.
I freeze. Meredith wiggles and rights herself.
And it moves.
I turn to face David Clark standing in the door to the mush hallway. His face is all covered with cuts. In some of them, bits of glass are sticking out. His hair is a mess, and that's saying something coming from me. One of his eyes is all bloodshot. There's more blood on his shirt and dripping down his cheeks. The stuffed rabbit is on his shoulder with its feet tucked into his collar to hold it in place, and it looks like it's pressing its paws against his neck where more blood seems to be running out from. The fabric of the rabbit is soaking up a lot of blood. David Clark coughs.
But that's not Pasher, you liar.
Hey there, kids. It's me, MrCreepyPasta. I just wanted to say thank you so much for listening to tonight's story or watching tonight's video. I appreciate it. As always, I cannot thank you enough for always being here. And if you guys would like to see more or hear more, then I'd appreciate it if you click that subscribe button. Or if you're listening on the podcast, then click the follow button. Do you like anime? I know that most people who use YouTube like anime. I'm looking at the stats right here. And they like it at a reasonable price. This is why our ongoing sponsor of the channel, HIDive, lets you start off with 30 days for free. So now you can watch anime, including horror anime, like Parasite, The Promised Neverland, and The Monster Musume. You can always find out more through the link in the description, or you can just head over to HIDive.com. And as always, I want to give a big thank you to all you guys who support on Patreon, patreon.com/MrCreepyPasta, especially Jacob Shaffer, Jay, Zach, Jordan Alexander Sanchez, Lando Higuchi, Bobby Karman, Tristain Pelton, Chase Burnett, Diana Kraus, Katrina Beisel, Kayden the Spooky Boy, Zane Nightshade, MyBodySoundsLikeRiceKrispys, AshWood, Lord of the Weebs, Miss Xandra, MrUnsettlingSpaghetti, Eurogore, Tsuji Campbell, Marco Takes Dabs 420, Stricken, Azurine Fox, Robert White, Andreas Garza, Snails Burnett, Legit Quad Feed, Fried Chicken 12, James Bruce, Chris Levin, Freddy Krueger, Ty Nanny, Justin Johnson, 1-800-Nightmare, Unknown Nobody, Michael Scarborough, Jason Wilson, Infernal One, James Lowe, Lisa Cottrell, Jimbo the Hutt, Caspian, Jordan Nels, Hades' Nephew, Tater Chip, Acid System, Prozac and Pancake Appreciation Society, Brian Arce, Cryptic Nightmares, Brennan Wright, Someone You Love, S-Man, Kiwi the Sloth, Liam Newman, Sky Harbor, Caleb Dougal, Nina Smith, Nico Kyle, Rafael Rodriguez, The Ginger Bros, Aaron Stormcrow, Talon Karlik, Daniel Polson, Trace Miles, and Corey Kenshin. Thank you guys so much for supporting me, and if you guys would like to join them on the list of people's names I mispronounce, you can always do so at patreon.com/MrCreepyPasta, as well as all those fine people in the description down below who help support this channel and keep the lights on and give treats to Hylas and Hercules. You guys, as always, are the real MVPs. And I love and appreciate every single one of you who support there or just support anywhere by watching and subbing. So good night, everybody, and sweet dreams.